Quebec. Today I'd like to share a few thoughts on Indigenous storytelling as an entry point to the universe of children living with attention deficit disorders and autism spectrum disorders. This conversation stems from my current research on incorporating Aboriginal knowledge and experiences into the curriculum in colleges in Quebec. And most importantly, it also stems from my personal experience as a mother of children gifted with tuning in to the world differently. These stories are very close to my heart, and I hope they will resonate with yours. I'll first introduce them with a few metaphors, and then I'll go into more specific details of how this ancient art form or storytelling is helping us to shape how we learn to listen with our eyes and how we experience the world with our senses and how we are able to name our emotions as a family. My personal connection with Indigenous storytelling is encrusted in this bâton de parole, which is also helping me telling this story. It stems from a visit that I received while I was recovering from a painful accident living overseas. In a subconscious state, I saw an elder, a woman, and she told me to come home and to be strong. I didn't know who she was. Years later, I looked up my family genealogy and I found out that my grandfather's mother was originally from the Anishinaabe community of Lac-Simon, Quebec, which is just around there on the map, which is also incidentally close to where I'm living now. These two moments actually sparkled an interest that became a theme in my life, and the elements that I'm learning from this are tremendous, and they are becoming it's becoming a personal, a family, and also a professional quest. But today I'll focus on the family history, the family story. The first part of when one thinks of Indigenous stories is the use of animals as metaphorical characters. This is related to beliefs that each animal has their own medicine. They have its own energy that is teaching us about life and about what we need or how we can become in the world and how we can relate to different people we meet or different moments in our life. The medicine comes really from that relationship to the animal. So although we're not in the same room right now, I'm going to ask you to take a step back and shut your eyes. Take a few breaths in and let an image of an animal come to you and visit you in your mind, body, spirit, emotions. Don't decide, just let this life form enter your space. Perhaps this animal has something to tell you. Perhaps you have something to tell to the animal. Perhaps you can do all that later. Now take a moment to be grateful to this animal for his visit and come back from this little journey, microscopic journey into the universe of totemic medicine. So now is the family story. It comes from totems that my children received while I was expecting them through different dreams that I had of these particular animals. And it turns out that actually the energy that they are is also very present in relationship to those animals. So here's the first story. It's the story about a little frog. So a little frog was very, very busy. During the summer, frog likes to look everywhere in the world. Jump from rock to rock, into the water, swim, back to the rock, swim, swim. Oh, here's a fly. Oh, and so on and so forth. And this little frog's mind was also like that. Always jumping from one place to another. Always busy, always moving. But frog also has a very special gift. The frog has the ability to connect with the earth and the water, and the medicine of the frog is a way of connecting with the world of emotions. Being attuned to the world of emotion means being able to call for rain when one needs to cry and wash away the sorrow and be renewed as you lay on the rock and the sun comes out again. Although some people call my little frog someone with attention deficit disorder, I call him someone with the gift of expressing emotions. And he's growing up and becoming more aware of his frog totem. And he's becoming conscious of the moments where he needs to stop jumping, lay on the rock, look inside of himself to reconnect with the earth's energy, and then go out again and experience the world. That doesn't take away from the fact that he has this attention deficit disorder, but it gives him a different energy into dealing with it and finding his own strategies and tuning into the world. Last summer, my son went on a trip with his grandfather close to where I was born, somewhere on the East Coast. And he actually came back with a full collection of rocks. Like, you know how little boys like collect small rocks and put them in their pockets? He actually like brought back a full backpack of big rocks. I was very thankful for this and for his connection to nature in general. And later on this year, I ended up reading a story about rocks from Aboriginal authors Blood Chambers, Donald, and Big Head. And so this story goes that the important point about rocks and place stories is that the rocks as animate entities have an energy to them that is forever in flux, constantly changing, transforming, combining, recombining. And this cyclic energy is what gives a rock its spiritual quality. For me, this is an interesting story, whether you believe in the energy of rocks or not. Some people will find that very far-fetched. Others will be connecting with that. But for me, the important part is that the ability to see something that we normally see as rigid and transform it into something flexible is something that is transformative. One last word on Frog. Lately, he told me that he likes the winter because he can be in the earth feeling warm and cozy. So I think in my son's case, the indigenous stories we have experienced with him are teaching him to slow down. In a very fast-paced environment, I believe this skill will be very important for his well-being in the future and for our well-being, for everybody's well-being currently as a family. And that's the beauty of family as an ecosystem, is that we all influence each other. So before I tell my second story, please take a step back and check your pulse. How is your heartbeat right now? Are you a summer frog or a winter frog? Now turn around, and if there's someone around you, try to feel your neighbor's pulse. What's his or her natural rhythm? That natural rhythm influences how we see the world as well. As Willie Ermin said, an Aboriginal artist, acquired knowledge and information does not only come from Western voyage. The alternative expeditions and discoveries in subjective inner space, as told by Aboriginal people, still have to be heard. So here's my second family tale. It's actually, coincidentally, I actually bought this while I was expecting Frog, and coincidentally, I ended up expecting twins afterwards. So Bear and Otters, because we're in a story, Bear and Otters, although they're very different, and they actually are from the same mother, And because we're in a tale and that's a fantasy, they are twins, but not identical. As they grew up, their totemic medicine became more and more evident. Otter is very outward bound, charming, joyous, playful, sociable, fast. Bear is introspective, cozy, warm, taking his time and rejoicing in the moment. He likes that inner space. So when others started talking, blah, 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 Bear didn't say much. And we started wondering, okay, maybe they're just different pace learner, and they are. But actually, as it turns out, we found out a few years later through many different laborious process that this little bear, some people call him autistic. It turns out that he talks differently. He talks a lot with his eyes and with his smile. And he also speaks, but sometimes it's not so clear to an ear that's not used to his talk. But this little bear likes to experience the world with his senses. Sometimes he loves it, like when he finds a patch of raspberries and can enjoy and delight. And other times he finds it a little bit more difficult and he needs to retreat in his cave, put his little rocks in order, and rejoice in silence, routine, and the rhythm of things that are, in place. So he's actually teaching me a lot because I'm the opposite. I like change and he likes order. So we get along. Some people call him autistic. I call him someone who sees the world with his touch. He's teaching us how to connect with our bodies. He's teaching us how to stop before feeling overwhelmed, how to see and seek a harmonious environment like the raspberry patch, and how to pay attention to small details in life. So this was the story of my family. Otter, bear, frog, and there's also little sister, wolf, which I can tell you about another time. And these stories are helping us to connect with our spirit, our body, our mind, and our heart. And it has established a calm and accepting learning environment for children tuning in the world differently, and for all of us as a family. It has its challenge, especially going into the world, but when you're exploring the universe from the inside, when you learn how to do that, something is grounded and you move along. So we are thankful for all that life has given us, and I hope we can pursue the discussion later. Thank you. Miigwech.